Calgary, head coach of the Avalanche, winning an overtime loss for your team in the championship game. Take us through your thoughts.
I mean, it was back and forth. We stuck to the process the entire game and continued to battle back. Similar to yesterday, where every time we went down a goal, we scored about 30 seconds later. So, similar today, and then we, got that power play late in the third. I was feeling really confident after we scored and tied it, and going into overtime, I had a lot of confidence in the group that they'd be able to get it done. And unfortunately, it's just a bad bounce. It goes back to the guy, and he puts it in the net. That's what it is.
You used the words battle back. I mean, you lost your first game of the round robin. Just to get yourselves into overtime of the championship game, what did it take?
Took a team effort, a concerted effort by everybody. Everybody was pulling the rope the same direction, and we just kept plugging away. And similar to like that first game where we ran out of time, this time we were able to pull it off, and unfortunately just didn't get the result at the end.
I know this stinks, but this was your first ever trip to the Frozen Finals. What was the experience like for you and your team?
It was great. I think the atmosphere was great, and being able to watch all the games and see the players, how they were a little bit overwhelmed the first day, and then they got comfortable with it, and then they started playing how I was used to seeing them play all year, and I think it was a good learning experience for everybody.
We talked a lot this week about Pac-Man and what he did in net, but we didn't talk as much as we needed to about Lane Rubik-Regner. How just crucial, how big was he for your team all year long?
Huge, and he had broke his hand. I know he was a little frustrated he didn't make the All-Star game. He just missed a lot of time there right around the All-Star game. I think it was the middle of the season. So he came back with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and it made him work even harder. And every day I didn't have to yell at him to skate hard or work hard. He brought it every day, and he was bought in from the start. So can't say enough good things about the kid.
Congrats on a great season.
Thank you.
Let's bring Michael Grayson now. Grab the trophy. It's a little heavy. Michael Grace, head coach of the Rangers, EHLP champions. Take us through your thoughts of the game.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty tight game. Both teams battled really hard. It was just a ton of compete. The kids really wanted it on both sides, and fortunately we were able to come out in the end.
When the two teams combined for 5 goals in the first period, and then nothing gets scored until they tie the game late, what do you even say to your team going into overtime?
Yeah, I know they scored late on a power play, and I just told them to stick with it. Like we've battled all year from where we started kind of early on. We were 6-6.
Yeah.
At end of October, it was kind of nerve-wracking, but it was kind of the message all year. Like stick with it. We're never out of a game. Like no matter what happens, you got to stay even. Like good things are gonna happen, bad things are gonna happen, and that's life too. So.
Have you ever had a championship game with a penalty shot?
Not that I can remember, but yeah, it was. Maybe in hindsight, I should probably take the 4-on-4 because they scored right after it. But at the same time, when you got a kid like Viola that's going to take it, I'm taking a penalty shot.
Let's talk about him for a second, because beginning of the year, he went up to the Wolves to try and make the jump up to the EHL. Wasn't maybe ready quite yet and came back to you. I mean, so many great players on your team this year, but when he returned, what did it bring your team?
He brings something to the top six. He's got a ton of poise with a puck. Yep. I think he's a better skater than most people give him credit for. And when he wants to turn it on, he's a dominant player, especially in the P. And I'm really looking forward to him making a jump next year to the EHL.
Congrats on being champions.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, Neil.